I think sort of kind of like what Kiza was saying, that it is important that there are certain students that come to the university and feel excluded because they don't have certain skills from home, so that you do offer support to help them. But what we also discussed is that there's this it's partly the culture of the UvA, and it's also partly policy, that the UvA wants students that study optimally. So you study within the years that you are given to do your bachelor or your master's, and that you don't take longer than that, because then you're also a more expensive student for the university. And I think that's also one of the reasons why the university doesn't financially support any kind of institutional change to support students that do need a little support but do have the capacities to be a student at the UvA. But we also talked about not wanting to target students for being a minority, because I do think that a lot of the change that needs to happen is not the minority students, but the students that form the majority at the University of Amsterdam. So that's talking more about, I guess, a cultural change. And one way that we see that happening is maybe more confrontation. So also what I was saying earlier about the sameness, that you confront someone and say that we are the exact same, just as you see me as being different, being a minority because I have a race. In the same way, a white person also has a race, and that race has consequences for that person, and makes it easier for them to integrate culturally into the University of Amsterdam, and thus also makes it easier to study here, because of course studying is not only about getting grades at your exams, but it's also about how you fit in socially and economically. And then we also talked about the fact that there could also be a more structural collaboration with outside institutes that do integrate more knowledge that is not only white. So like the Tropenmuseum and the NINSE. And curriculum-wise, we discussed that we could maybe have courses like in the core curriculum that do talk more about diversity. But then the fear, of course, is that you get a kind of segregation where people take that course and say, well, I'm going to just complete the course because I have to, and not really do anything else with it. So we would like to see more integration within each course of different kinds of knowledge to promote a more productive way of thinking that includes diversity and makes the best of the diversity that we have in Amsterdam. And what else? Well, we also shortly talked about it. That's also a structural thing that has recently changed. Places like Rutgers Eilands, just that the way that a building is decorated, the food that is offered, things like, it's not necessarily ethnicity, but that you have a men's toilet and a women's toilet. There's all kinds of exclusion and all kinds of norms that are, of course, expressed in how a building is set up. So that's another way of also, that sends signals to students, who's supposed to be here, who is the norm and who isn't. And lastly, I think really making the UvA aware of the fact that we are not happy with the way that they deal with diversity, which is not dealing with it at all. So there needs to be more attention to diversity at the UvA.
Thank you so much. That's a very long list.